I think we're pretty nailed on that they won't be updating it this year.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. First off, the Ally X isn't even a year old.
Exactly.
You know, like it didn't come out or even get announced, I think, until June.
Yeah.
So like we're way off that yet. And then, you know, you've got the other side of it where they have said themselves, Asus have said, we don't really, if we can help it, like want to be releasing yearly iterations.
That's a really important point to make, because I did see some people disagreeing with us in the first part of this when they're saying it's a PC company, it's Asus. They update every year. It's what they do.
Yeah.
And the Ally came out, and then the Ally X came out a year later. Why wouldn't they do it again? They actually said it to us very clearly.
Yes.
They want to avoid doing that as much as possible.
Yes.
And the Ally X was a necessary incremental upgrade because of the flaws that the first version had, the battery life.
The Ally X was essentially the first one.
Yeah.
You know, like, because they released the first one and it had issues. There were teething problems, literally. And they said to us directly, they said, look, we've listened to the community.
Yeah.
You know, and we've heard people's troubles, what their problems have been, what they want more out of. And they put that together. That's why they chose the bigger battery, the additional RAM, the 2280 support, you know, a better construction, a better ergonomic. Like they took everything that people had a problem with the first one. This was no means meant to be a version 2 or anything like that. This was just a revision, the definitive edition of the Ally. So that, yes, was like a yearly upgrade, but they said that was just to fix what they'd done wrong in the first part.
Yeah, so we're not even a year out from the Ally X for certain, because that was June, July time, wasn't it, that it dropped. They don't want to be doing yearly upgrades. But I guess the other point as well, on if you're looking at just this part, if there's an Ally 2 and that should change your purchasing choices, is if an Ally 2 did drop in the summer, will it be a noticeable improvement enough for you to go, actually, that's a lot more compelling than an Ally X?
Yeah, and I suppose that comes down to what you hold dear to yourselves.
What's important?
Yes, because I know a lot of people struggle with the 7-inch screen on the Ally and the big bezels. You know, people don't like that. They just don't. Personally, I quite like that it keeps the form factor very small. It is a portable
light
device.
Battery life's amazing.
Battery life's like everything's great on it. But so screen could be a problem for you, especially when there's lots of new ones coming out with 8-inch screens.
11-inch screens.
Yeah, 11-inch screens. Yes, nice one, Acer. So you know, that could be a potential for you to hold off from buying. And the other thing as well is obviously, if it had a Z2 Extreme. I think they're the two things that could change that would sway people. I don't think anything else about the Ally X.
One thing.
Oh, go on.
The biggest criticism that it had.
What's that?
Not OLED.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd factor that into the screen side. But yes.
Just to say it kind of like overtly.
Yeah.
The fact that it's not OLED at the moment, I think a lot of people were disappointed in that. We've covered it at length why it's not. But if like what Lenovo are promising with the Go 2, that there is a way around OLED and VRR flicker being potentially fixed.
Yeah.
If you can have a well-running 8-inch VRR OLED screen, then I start to question its compelling offering. Then it starts to become, that is interesting.
That would be an upgrade, you know, especially if it's paired with the Z2 Extreme. Yeah.
But those things, if you had the Z2 Extreme in it, let's say it's the same RAM capacity that it does have, same storage, same battery, but an 8-inch OLED with a Z2 Extreme, I would hazard a guess at about £1,100 retail.
I'd say at least 1,000.
Yeah,
at least 1,000.
They're expensive components.
I also feel like they would be doing themselves a disservice for like the true Ally 2.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like when the Z3 comes, because for people that don't know, the current generation, the Z1 Extreme, is RDNA 3.
Yeah.
Since it's got the 780M in it, right? The Z2 Extreme, the new chip that's been announced this year in CES, the Lenovo Legion, I can never say that.
Yeah.
The Go 2 will have is an incremental step up to the RDNA 3.5, right? The next one, so potentially next year, so the Z3 Extreme, let's say, will be RDNA 4.
That's a generational
That's
step.
a generational leap. So that is big. That's a big jump. So I feel like if they did an 8-inch OLED VRR, which is what we all want.
Yeah, of course.
None of us like deny that fact. You know, if they did that prior and just did an incremental increase in performance and stuff, when they finally dropped the Z3 Extreme, people would be like, oh, well, I've already got my OLED VRR
You've
screen.
done this every year.
Yeah, I've already got that. Whereas if they waited and went from the Z1 Extreme LCD VRR to the RDNA 4 Z3 Extreme OLED 8-inch VRR, like everyone's going to upgrade.
Yeah, like if that dropped in the summer, in a fantasy land, everyone would want it.
Oh, 100%.
And I'd 100% say hold off if that was likely to happen, but it's not. We're a good year, maybe 2 away from that.
At least a year.
So if they were to upgrade it, if that was to happen, which we don't think is going to happen, if they were, we're likely to see an RDNA 3.5 from the Z2 Extreme. That's not a compelling enough jump to justify what the increase in cost will be.
Exactly. Yes.
From 799 kind of standard now, it'll be up to at least 1,000.
Yes.
Even if it did have an OLED would kind of make me question slightly, but that jump in price would probably not be justifiable for what I'm getting.
Specifically for people that already have the X.
Yes.
It wouldn't be worth the upgrade. Yeah. For people holding off, maybe it's only a couple of $100 more. Maybe that's important to you.
But the probability is if that did happen, the Ally X would drop in price as a consequence.
Yes.
As we saw with the Z1 Extreme version of the non-X version.
Precisely. And I think that would be the better buy.
Yeah.
Until the Z3 Extreme came out. Hi! You might remember me from the video you've just watched.
Wow. 5 points if you could spot the continuity error. This totally seamless transition. Yes. If you enjoyed this clip of the podcast, you know what you should do?
Go and watch the main one.
Great idea. Yes. It'll be smashed up here. And thanks for being here because we love your face.
Yes.